A woman who jumped from the roof of a multi...
Bête Noire, from the French, literally meaning black beast. More colloquially, it kind of means, well, if you want to get extreme with it, the bane of your entire existence. It's someone or something that you deeply hate. So really it could apply to either Verity or Maria. But my alternative title for this was one I had a few ideas. I thought Revenge of the Nerds was a fun one. But I did also consider Gaslight, Gatekeep, Girl Boss, because that is what Verity does here. She cuckoos her way in and convinces Maria that she's going crazy. But as we expect with Black Mirror, there's so much good setup that's done even from the jump that pays off later. One of the first things we hear is Louisa complaining about her almond milk being stolen so much. I mean, almond milk's not the best anyway. You gotta get like oat or, maybe a coconut. They foam up very nicely. But obviously that then leads us into the next scene, which is Maria going, I hope this doesn't have nuts in because my EpiPen's all the way over there. These two core points that do come into effect later are set up straight away. And like I said, this is what we expect from quality Black Mirror. Doesn't always happen, some episodes don't do it well, I'm sure in the past I've mentioned them, but this does that setup so beautifully well. But the way I've always done this, and I might have mentioned this before, is we watch the episodes together, my partner and I, and I might have a few ideas, but I don't really work on it in a meaningful way until at least a second watch. And I'm kind of disappointed with myself that I missed something really obvious. Verity Green is the name of our antagonist, really, I suppose she is, and Verity means truth, which is kind of ironic because she's kind of making that truth up as she moves between realities. It's not an objective truth that everyone has lived in. Well, it is technically when she moves, but you know what I mean. It's very much what she says goes. She makes the truth. But also interesting is the surname, Green, a colour we associate with envy and jealousy. Like any child, she just wanted a normal childhood. She wanted to go to school, work on a computer, she had a good relationship, not the kind that was claimed, with her computer teacher, and sadly us nerds and weirdos are the targets of bullying. We don't often get that normal childhood that we crave. So I get it. I'm not justifying her actions, not at all. But I can empathise, I can understand how she's come to this point. But like I say, she wheedles her way in, and there's so many moments. I started making notes, but I think there's at least like 10, probably somewhere between 10 and 15 moments, I think, that she touches the pendant. And the first one we see is she's doing the taste test. People have gone, oh, that's not great. And she goes, oh, it kind of grows on you. Like when you watch it the second time, you spot all these moments. Like that, I'm not going to go through constantly every single one, but she constantly does it throughout. She's building this reality right in front of our noses. And it's one of those things that over time, as the episode goes on, you find it harder to just explain away things. The real crux is the video. That was the moment I was like, okay, I can't figure out a way that this has happened. Everything else could be stress, paranoia, all that kind of stuff. Even the Barney's Bernies, maybe, maybe I didn't see it right. Of course, that isn't the case. It did change in the episode, because I noticed the hat. And it brought me to the interesting point about the Mandela effect. It's something I've been fascinated with for years. I watched the film years ago and I meant to do a video on it. I'll have to rewatch it and maybe do it in the future. But I literally was thinking about it when they were talking about it, and then Kay says, oh, it's the Mandela effect. I went, fine. I can't do my video on that because they've identified it. I like to bring something that isn't overt in my interpretation. But I did like that moment, although I didn't like the Vision Pro with the ISA. I'm glad my Quest doesn't do that. But that Barney's Bernies debate is actually more interesting than it looks. When I was just double checking actors' names and things like that, I happened across a thing that said there were 2 versions of the episode that were out there. People have screenshotted it, it's all up on social media, you can go and look. But there were 2 versions, one where Barney's was changed to Bernie's and the other way round as well happened. I watched the Bernie's to Barney's. I've not seen the other one. I don't know if it's like tagged on your account or something like that. I don't know if there's a way, short of less than legal means. But this is the thing, it did actually happen, there is evidence out there. So the episode itself, by distribution and how that's been done, also plays into this idea of gaslighting, and I respect it for that. I do love that about it. But like I say, up until the point of that video, where what we saw in the episode was completely different, it could have been paranoia, it could have been gaslighting, it could have been a lot of other reasons. but it really veered into something is amiss here. Now, earlier in the episode, across the way on the side of a building, I did see "Took a Soft" written. We also have Kay with some kind of VR headset on, and when she breaks in and she sees all the, the server room effectively, my first thought was, is this a simulation? I know if the servers are in the simulation, maybe that wouldn't make sense, but it could be kind of like in the holodeck in Star Trek. You can call for an arch and get controls, or you can give verbal controls to the computer throughout. So that was my thought. I'm not a physicist, so I don't know if what she said actually makes any sense, like if that is possible. But my rule, if you will, is always, if the story doesn't suffer, you put whatever technical gobbledygook in that you want, as long as the story works and that's an excuse that you can say, that's what I'm saying it is, I'm totally fine with it. I'm not going to complain because it's not scientifically valid. But during this whole end piece, the acting of both Rosie McEwen and Sienna Kelly really cements why these people were chosen for these roles, because it is just a battle of minds at the end. We have Verity going, haha, I've won, you did all this to me, you made my life hell, and now I've got my revenge. And you have Maria going, but I was a child. And again, I don't necessarily excuse it, children still should know right from wrong, but peer pressure, things like this do happen. I totally understand that. But overall, this is a good episode. Whilst I don't necessarily know if it's scientifically backed, it doesn't matter. We have an interesting tale of gaslighting, paranoia, and, being careful who you bully. I mean, really, you shouldn't bully anyone, but sometimes it might come back and really cause you problems. I always like to end on light notes, and I didn't really feel right doing it last time, so I've got a couple for this one. I'll sort of balance it out between the two. One of the things that I thought throughout this entire episode, every time that Verity made a change, was a quote attributed to Adam Savage. And you know what, instead of me saying it, I'm going to let the man say it himself.
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
So of course, yeah, that made me chuckle. But also, there's a couple of times that Maria is, in an argument, she's got to back up because of what Verity's doing, and people tell her to calm down. And again, the whole Buffy fandom that I have immediately put this clip of Spike in my brain.
I am calm.
I just want to overlay that over every time she says it in the episode. So those are my two light notes. So we'll have a bit of an emotional ride next time as we enter Hotel Reverie. So I hope you'll join me for that and everything else coming in the future. But until then, as always, thank you for watching and take care.